In a land long ago, in the ancient city of Canaan, lived a man named Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, but one son was especially dear to him, Joseph, his youngest. Jacob showed this love by giving him a beautiful multicolored coat. This coat sparkled in the sunlight and was a symbol of his father's special affection. But this made Joseph's brothers jealous. They were older and had always worked hard, but Joseph got all the attention. To make matters worse, Joseph had dreams. Dreams that seemed to say that one day his brothers would bow down to him. One day, Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers, who were tending their sheep in the fields far away. When the brothers saw Joseph approaching in his brightly colored coat, their jealousy flared up. They began whispering and plotting how to get rid of him. "Let's throw him into a pit," said one brother, Reuben, hoping to find a way to save him later. But the others were filled with anger and greed. They didn't want to just put him in a pit, they wanted him gone forever. So when Joseph arrived, they grabbed him, tore off his beautiful coat, and threw him into an empty well. They sat down to eat, thinking about what to do next. As they ate, a caravan of traders passed by on their way to Egypt. The brothers saw an opportunity. Instead of leaving Joseph in the pit, they decided to sell him as a slave to the traders for 20 silver coins. After selling Joseph, the brothers took his coat, stained it with goat blood, and returned to their father, Jacob. When they showed it to him, they pretended they had found it abandoned. Thinking Joseph had been killed by a wild animal, Jacob was heartbroken. He mourned for his son and couldn't be comforted. He believed Joseph was gone forever, but Joseph was not dead. The traders took him to Egypt, where he was sold to a powerful man named Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh. Joseph worked hard, and soon Potiphar noticed that everything Joseph touched seemed to turn to gold. He trusted Joseph and made him the head of his entire household. However, things took a dark turn. Potiphar's wife tried to seduce Joseph, but he refused her, staying loyal to his master. Angry at being rejected, she accused Joseph of wrongdoing, and Potiphar had no choice but to throw Joseph into prison. Joseph's life had taken an unexpected twist. Now in prison, Joseph's faith did not waver. He continued to help others, interpreting dreams for his fellow prisoners, showing that God was still with him. One day, Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, had a strange dream that no one could interpret. He dreamed of 7 fat cows and 7 skinny cows, and the skinny cows ate the fat ones. Pharaoh was troubled and called for all his magicians and wise men to interpret the dream, but no one could. Then the cupbearer, a former prisoner who had been helped by Joseph, remembered Joseph's talent for interpreting dreams. Joseph was brought before Pharaoh, and with God's help, he explained the meaning of the dream. Egypt would face 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. Joseph advised Pharaoh to store food during the years of plenty to prepare for the famine. Pharaoh was so impressed that he made Joseph his second in command, in charge of preparing Egypt for the coming famine. Joseph went from being a prisoner to being one of the most powerful men in Egypt. Years passed and the famine reached Canaan. Joseph's brothers back home were starving. Jacob sent them to Egypt to buy grain, unaware that Joseph was now in charge of Egypt's food supply. When they came before Joseph, they did not recognize him. But Joseph knew them immediately. They were the brothers who had betrayed him. But instead of seeking revenge, Joseph decided to test them. He accused them of being spies and demanded that they bring their youngest brother, Benjamin, to Egypt as proof of their honesty. The brothers returned to Canaan and brought Benjamin. When they returned to Egypt, Joseph revealed his true identity. He cried, telling them, "I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into slavery." The brothers were terrified, thinking Joseph would seek revenge. But Joseph reassured them. He said, "You meant to harm me, but God used it for good, to save many lives during this famine. Don't be afraid, I forgive you." Joseph invited his entire family to live with him in Egypt, where they would be provided for. And so Joseph and his brothers were reunited, and the family was saved. The story of Joseph teaches us powerful lessons about forgiveness, faith, and the strength to overcome adversity. Despite being betrayed by those closest to him, Joseph trusted in God's plan and never gave up. His story reminds us that even when things seem dark, there's always a bigger plan at work, and that forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds. Joseph's journey from betrayal to forgiveness, from hardship to triumph, shows that no matter what happens, we can always choose hope and grace.